Welcome to our expert series, Cybersecurity and Cutting Edge Technology. We're excited to have you with us this morning and appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to join a pretty important session. So without further ado, we'll dive in. Today's webinar explores real cybersecurity threats that mortgage brokers face daily, hourly, moment by moment, from phishing to AI misuse. And I think Rob's got a great example of AI misuse for us. And the idea today is that this session will offer practical steps to help you actually stay protected. And we'll also look at how smarter tech, APIs, secure communication tools, et cetera, can boost both your efficiency and your compliance. And I do want to take a moment to highlight CMBA-BC's mission, which this webinar is clear evidence of. At the Canadian Mortgage Brokers Association of BC, our focus is on strengthening and supporting our broker community through education, advocacy, and creating opportunities for professionals to connect and grow. Your participation in educational sessions like this one help foster a thriving professional community that we are happy to have you as a part of. I'm supposed to introduce myself, I guess. I did not write a bio for myself, but my name is Dustin Woodhouse. Not currently an active mortgage broker, but I like to think that I still speak broker relatively fluently. I brokered from 2008 to 2018 at a pretty aggressive workaholic pace with very few days off. So I've been there on the front lines for 10 years and then spent 5.5 years as the president of the Mortgage Architects Network. So I've sort of been on the other side of the coin as well in the corporate role. And through both versions of that career, I got to know Rob Mark, our guest today, who I'll introduce next. And Rob has been kind of my go-to IT guy for, gosh, I think the better part of 10 years now, maybe longer. And on that note, let me introduce our speaker for today, Rob Mark, the CEO of BVigilant. Rob has 19 years of experience in IT and IT security, a huge chunk of that invested in saving myself from myself, with expertise ranging from hardware repair to threat response. Since 2010, Rob has focused on improving security and technology within the real estate industry, advocating for stronger broker controls and helping firms protect client data. And Rob definitely has been in the trenches himself and has some pretty amazing tales, which we'll get into some of the broker stories of what a breach looks like in the world of a broker when it happens. What are the costs, both emotional and financial? All right, and we'd also like to thank our sponsor of this event, Seven Lending. And Seven Lending is an equity-based private lender in BC, tailored towards delivering solutions for clean or tough files. Seven Lending specializes in second mortgages and private payouts to ensure your clients are receiving the funds they need when they need them. Seven Lending, let's get you approved. All right, and then a few words about membership as well. Sorry, trying to keep the flow going here. Membership appreciation. We want to thank all of our members for your continued support and commitment. Your involvement is what makes this community strong, and we are certainly grateful to have you with us. And one quick note, I got to give a shout out to my man, Michael Thorne. Just a quick reminder, you don't want to miss the AI workshop series for mortgage brokers. I think 2 down, 1 to go. It's been an incredible learning opportunity designed specifically for professionals like you. The series is led by Michael Thorne. He's been a realtor actually for about 30 years, so he does understand a good chunk of our business. And it's all about how AI is transforming the mortgage industry and, more importantly, how you can start using it in your day-to-day work. The first 2 sessions, as I mentioned, have already taken place, but don't worry, when you register, you get full access to the previous sessions, the recordings thereof, and you can catch up on those 2. And the final session is coming up live on June 24th at 10 a.m. That'll be a 75-minute session, 10 a.m. to 11:15. And trust me, it's worth tuning in. Registration is $199 plus GST for members. You can scan the QR code on the screen on the right and learn more and get signed up. And we would love to have you join us. All right, and one more word on additional upcoming webinars. We also invite you to join us July 16th for our next Expert Series webinar, Understanding Climate Risk and its Impact on the Mortgage Industry. This session will explore how wildfires, flooding, and other climate-related risks are affecting property values, in particular, insurance on properties. Not just the cost of insurance, the ability to actually get insurance, which is a pretty significant factor when you're trying to close a purchase. And of course, when you're trying to get a mortgage on it, the lender wants to know that this property can in fact be insured. And what brokers can do to stay ahead. It's a timely, practical conversation you won't want to miss. And, since we're at that, we're going to also mark your calendars for September 10th, 9:30 a.m. We're going to have another hour plus conversation with Benjamin Tall. So definitely plug that as a little placeholder in your calendars now, July 16th, 9:30 a.m., September 10th, 9:30 a.m. And I haven't actually had a conversation with Mr. Tall since I ran into him in the airport last year. And that was an enlightening conversation itself. I got to stand in line behind him for about 20 minutes and grill him. I was that guy. Actually, it was a pretty friendly conversation. But join us for both of those, please. And last but not least, an upcoming event we'd like to invite you to, the 2025 Real Estate Industry Classic on July 30th at the beautiful Green Tree Country Club at Westwood Plateau, my old neighborhood, my old stomping grounds. It's a great opportunity to connect. Keep the slide on point. It's a great opportunity to connect with industry professionals, enjoy a round of golf, and support community causes. Just scan again the QR code on the screen to learn more and register, and we hope to see you there. Now, when I say we, I don't mean me, because I am not someone you'll find on a golf course. It is pretty disastrous when I wind up on a golf course. I happen to be away that day. Otherwise, I probably would show up and at least hang out. But yeah, you don't want to see me with a golf club in my hand. All right. The FinTrack guidelines for mortgage brokers. FinTrack. Can't get away from it. We wanted to highlight a helpful resource, our FinTrack guidelines for mortgage brokers course. This self-paced course is a comprehensive guide for brokers and staff to confidently navigate FinTrack compliance. It's designed to help you address real-world challenges and meet regulatory requirements with clarity. Again, you can scan the QR code on your screen to learn more and register today. Got a few of these slides to get through, but we're on the home stretch, and then we're getting into it. I see disclaimer coming up next. Our Mortgage Broker Fundamentals course is designed to guide brokers through the entire mortgage process, from finding clients to staying connected after closing. It's built for BC brokers and blends real-world scenarios with key regulatory content from mortgage brokers, from the Mortgage Brokers Act, BCFSA guidelines, and upcoming updates under the new Mortgage Services Act once that is enforced. Before we move forward, a quick reminder, this session is for educational purposes only and should not be considered legal or compliance advice. Again, this session, information purposes only. Do not rely on this for legal or compliance advice. One thing I am going to say about the Mortgage Brokers Fundamental course, I took that myself back in 2008 when I think I'd completed one transaction. I knew nothing about mortgages, those poor folks that were my very first clients. Actually, it was an individual, and he actually turned out to be my 1695th and final client. So I guess I did an okay job with him through the course of the decade that we worked together. But that course, the Mortgage Brokers Fundamentals course, I still remember key aspects of it. I remember different brokers that came in and did sort of little cameo appearances and shared stories of their early days. And I remember the gentleman that sat to my left. I keep running into him out there in the world, just recently in Langley. You know, here we are 17 years later, still in the industry. So that says something for the course. There's a few people that were in that course that day that 17 years later are still there. So there's my shout out for the Mortgage Brokers Fundamental course. The people I saw in that room, I still see in the industry. So worth a look. All right, and again, the disclaimer. Before we proceed, I'd like to share a quick disclaimer. This session is intended for educational purposes only and should not be considered a substitute for professional advice. Even though Rob is a professional, this is not professional advice. If you have specific concerns, we encourage you to seek personalized guidance. Additionally, please note that any comments made by speakers, myself or Rob, or participants, anything that pops up in the chat, does not necessarily reflect the views of CMBA-BC. I feel like you guys are worried about what I might say, so you had to put that disclaimer in there, but I will be good. I will be good. All right, and we do have a Q&A feature, Q&A piece for questions. Feel free to drop your questions into there. During the session, we encourage you to participate in the Q&A. So as I say, submit the questions in the Q&A tab ideally, and Laura will address the inquiries as they come. And let's grow together. All right, there's going to be a survey at the end, and we really do appreciate you taking the extra few minutes to fill that survey in. Very, very important. Can't move forward without that. So as I say, as we wrap up, we want to hear your thoughts. We value your feedback, so please do take a moment to complete that post-session survey, and away we go. And at that point, I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and Rob, there you are.
Here we go.
Okay, bit of a preamble to get us rolling, but here we are.
I feel like it's gotten longer.
There was a lot to cover there. Yeah, it's like when you go to the movie theater and you get the 15 minutes of previews, coming attractions. So, Rob, we kind of got your bio, 19 years, but I feel like over the last couple of years, most of what you're doing has really evolved away from support and into security. And I feel like that's a little bit of a reflection of what's happening out there as far as, your phone wasn't ringing for security calls 10 years ago the way it is today. Is that
Definitely
accurate?
true. Oh yeah. Yeah. It's much more common, I think. Computers and technologies in general are more reliable than they used to be. So there's not as many people who are like, oh no, my computer broke down out of the blue. But there is a lot more, oh no, somebody stole my payroll deposits and somebody stole my identity and financed a car and stuff like that. So
Yeah, well, indeed, I have to my right here in this room, I have two desktop PCs that I had you put together for me in like 2016, and here we are, almost 10 years later. They're still operational, usable. I still fire them up and pull things off of them on a regular basis. So you're right, the hardware has advanced without a doubt, as we all know, looking at the pace of change with artificial intelligence and everything else. The tech is advancing at an incredible pace. So bad guys versus good guys, the phishing, the hackers, the scammers, the ransomware side of things. When it comes to their advancing, are the bad guys advancing faster than, let's say, we are? Are the attackers advancing faster than the attacked?
yeah, I mean, at an astounding rate, I think the hackers are getting further ahead of the industries. The defensive researchers and the defensive technical crowd are keeping pace with the hackers. But anytime you're dealing with an industry that generates more revenue globally than the drug trade does, I think the amount of money that's being invested and time that's being invested on the malicious side is astronomical. We're talking billions and billions of dollars every year because they're making tens of billions or twenties of billions of dollars off of it. So
Yeah, I don't think a lot of us realize that. I don't think we tend to realize that there is significant investment, like multi-millionaires who are writing huge checks to set up facilities designed to basically make our lives miserable. And it's no different than a big, publicly traded company, et cetera, organized. It's like the opposite of IBM. It's like the similar style where you've got all these investors funding this thing, hoping
I think
for
the
a
opposite of
return.
IBM is MBI, and isn't that the Mortgage Broker Institute or
No,
something?
let's not. Okay, let's not do that.
But yeah, it is like organized crime, government based. It's such a huge industry. Like we know that like world renowned gangs that people attribute to like prison breakouts in third world countries and mass murders and cartels and like they are spending billions of dollars in this space because it's so lucrative.
More
Like it's just so
profitable than the
easy.
drug trade.
Exactly. It's easier to steal someone's pension deposit every month for 6 months than it is to try and fly some cocaine across the border, which is probably not the drugs that they do anymore. But
So connecting the dots, I guess what you're really saying is the bad guys, they all got used to working from home during COVID as well. And, like packing up a bunch of drugs and wrapping it in plastic and loading it onto boats and racing across, like that just got tiring. And none of that crew wants to come into the office anymore. They'd sooner just work from home. So, can't they just hack instead? It's
yep,
I'm making obviously a little bit light of it, but in a way that almost sounds like it's kind of what's happened.
that's exactly what happens. And they even went so far as we know that there's criminal gangs that have like street level thugs that used to run around and do the shootings and stuff. And now they manage teams of contractors from another place in the world because it was cheaper to have them do the hacking and just outsource the hacking to a hacking farm in a third world country. So it's the
Jeez.
same stuff that we do as businesses here. Like, oh, I wonder if I could get a support agent from, somewhere else in the world where the minimum wage is $2 an hour and
Okay,
save
so
a
we've
bunch of
amped
money.
up the tension. We've amped up the tension, Rob. There's millions, billions of dollars being invested in, multiple hacker farms across the globe. Some of it government backed by, more nefarious countries, and they're coming for my data. They're coming for my MacBook. What can I do? Like what
Yeah.
can I do? For instance, I've told my parents to just not click any link ever. Period. Like just don't click anything. Just assume that when you click the link, $10,000 will be vacuumed from your bank account. And I think that's gotten through to them, but that's not really a great solution because as mortgage brokers, I mean, even myself, we send emails out to one another and to our clients, and I send them out to brokers with links like click here to register for this event. So,
Yeah. I
what,
mean, the
like,
first
where does
thing,
that leave us?
yeah, the first thing that everybody should do is make sure that you have insurance for this. I mean, that's the easiest, lowest bar. An insurance policy for a mortgage broker is going to cost you between 1,800 and $2,000 probably a year, and it's going to cover you for um, any major losses. So contact your insurer if you don't have one. I think ProLink has sponsored some shows here. They have a really good cyber policy that's usually right in that range that I said. If you don't have cyber liability insurance, get that tacked on. And it's important. A lot of people think they have that and they don't. And I just dealt with somebody yesterday who was like a, a high volume broker, not new to the industry, been around for many years, and they're not sure if they have insurance at all. So
Well, and a lot of us, I think, would make the mistaken assumption that cybersecurity insurance or ransomware insurance is rolled up under errors and omissions insurance, and it's not.
it's
Errors
not,
and
and it's
omissions insurance is
specifically
very,
written out.
yeah,
Like
exactly.
there's a line that says it excludes all cyber events in almost every E&O policy that I've reviewed for clients.
Yeah, but I guarantee there are a few mortgage agents, mortgage sub-mortgage brokers, and even designated individuals listening to this right now, watching this live right now, who are thinking, no, 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 like I've got insurance. Well, you have different kinds of insurance. You probably have some life insurance. Maybe you have some disability insurance, short term, long term. Don't really remember. Which one do I have? Maybe both. I got car insurance. I got property insurance. I have errors and omissions insurance. And in our brains, I think we do. We sort of tend to think that errors and omissions insurance is business insurance and it just kind of automatically covers us. But it's very important in BC in particular when you're operating under another brokerage, assuming that they have even just E&O insurance, to know this very important fact. British Columbia is one of the only provinces in Canada that does not make E&O coverage mandatory. So you may not even have errors and omissions insurance, let alone cybersecurity insurance. So it's kind of I know this is about cybersecurity, but while we're talking about insurance, guys, you want to reach out to your principal broker and you want to double check, hey, do we actually have E&O insurance? Because you will probably be unpleasantly surprised, in particular There's a few offices that I'm aware of that they carry no insurance whatsoever. And so not only do they not have cybersecurity, they don't even have the basics. And so on the cybersecurity insurance front, can you not get as a brokerage a blanket policy that would cover all your agents, or it's one by
No,
one only?
it's impossible. We've worked with with brokerages that have tried, and it's not possible that they can't provide it to their sub brokers. The the brokers want autonomy. You want to be able to use your own systems and platforms, your own CRM, your own computer. And the insurers looked at the situation and said, like, a brokerage that has several hundred brokers all using their own systems and platforms that the brokerage doesn't have visibility into,
Yeah,
we're not going to touch it. No chance. So even if they wanted to, they couldn't right now.
yeah, yeah. And I certainly pushed for that in my former role. I was trying to get us a blanket policy like nationwide for 2,000 agents, and yeah, as you just covered off, we're all independent contractors, folks. We all do things differently, and it's the whole weakest link theory. And they said, yeah, sure, we can write you a policy. We're going to charge you like a $10 million premium, per year. And it was like with a maximum coverage of $10,000 per instance. Because they said, like, we know in that 2,000 people that I was responsible for at the time, they said we know at least 10% literally have their password set as password 123, right? Like, it's that bad. And Rob, I mean, on that point, you've made it clear that the bad guys are advancing faster than the good guys. I mean, how often do you see something as egregious as, the password? Is that really a thing still? Do you see things like that low level security wise?
Yeah, it's still every day. And it's also gotten every day. The amount of times I go to an office and like a lot of brokers, one that I've seen very recently, brokers like those shared working spaces where like you have a brokerage office that has a bunch of little individual rooms and you can just kind of come and go as you please. And like I walked into one to help a client and I saw at least three people who had their passwords on post-it notes on the screen of the shared broker space and nobody was in the office. I could have just walked in and like snapped a picture with my camera. And then
Ah,
there's probably another few where if I lift up the keyboard, it's under there because that's another place people like to put it. They like to hide it underneath their keyboard, thinking that that's next level security or something. But even further than that, it's password one
eh,
two three is terrible, but your dog's name and the year is not any better. Your son's name and birth year is not any better. Anything that's tied to information that I could probably find out about you with digging a little bit, like your passwords should be very long and complex and randomly generated ideally, and we shouldn't be trying to remember them anymore because it's not possible. So,
I like to use questions, statements, figures of speech, and throw some random numbers in there or whatever.
what is my
Like,
password for this website? Question mark.
yeah, there you go. It's more like, what the heck was I thinking circa 1989, face bomb, exclamation point. Like that's not an exact password that I've used, but literally it gives you like that 28 character password, which that's kind of the biggest thing you can do, right? Is just the length of that password.
All
One of the
right, a
bigger
bunch of
changes.
questions about the insurance policies. So, any recommendations for insurers? I think I mentioned ProLink is a good one. They've sponsored a few events here, um, but pretty much
Good to
any
mention our past
brokerage.
sponsors. Absolutely.
But anybody, any business policy, any insurer that has business policies will have a connection for a CFC is another big one in Canada. And
Yeah.
then somebody else also asked, speak more to the master policy for brokerage regarding cyber policy. Would this only cover the brokerage and not sub brokers under the brokerage? Uh,
There is no such policy. I
yeah, it's
I
not
went
possible.
digging for one, and as Rob has highlighted all the reasons, there is no master policy for a brokerage. You individually have to purchase this. A whole bunch of people are like, "Holy cow!" I tuned in, and I've already been hit with a $1,500 to $2,000 bill, guys. Like, thanks for this webinar. But it's kind of like driving without car insurance, every each day that you operate without cybersecurity insurance. And to your point, Rob, I mean, just yesterday, right? Long-standing, big producer
Yep.
caught.
Yeah,
And
he got his email account breached, and this is something that I've seen very common. So this isn't the only case of this, but they're not. Used to be when you got your email account breached, you just mass spammed everybody, and you knew pretty quick because you start getting phone calls like, "Why am I getting Google Dropbox or some kind of link like unsolicited or from your email account?" And I've seen that happen a lot too. But they're getting much smarter. And in this case, um, the person didn't know they were breached for almost 15 days. Like they got access to the account and they did nothing. They just watched and they just started recording e-transfer PADs. Um, in this case, there was some like private funding, private equity involved with like bridge loans and stuff like that. Stuff that you guys probably deal with on a day-to-day basis. They waited almost 2 weeks and then they said, okay, we've got deals closed. Like the hackers said, okay, there's deals closing. I know we've got an Interact e-transfer coming for an appraisal. I know we've got this for like the payout of a bridge loan. I know we've got lawyer instructions and everything. They intercepted it all over the course of 5 to 6 days. They were sending new bank accounts to the lawyers. They were sending instructions to send e-transfers for appraisal fees to clients who were financing the homes, and they successfully got e-transfers. They successfully intercepted e-transfers, and I've seen successfully, like not this incident, but I've seen another one about a month and a half ago where the lawyer actually updated banking instructions and transferred money for bridge loan repayment um,
Do you want to
to
put
a
some
P.
dollar amounts around that?
Yeah, the e-transfers usually range around $1,000 to $1,500 each, and I've seen dozens of those over the last year. The appraisals, there seem to be wise to the fact that like some people pay their broker for the appraisal to get the file moving quicker. So they intercept the appraisal fees and they intercept that e-transfer email. You never see it in your mailbox if you've been breached because they've created a rule to automatically delete it and move it somewhere else and send them a copy of it. Then they click the link and they go through and they deposit it into a mule bank account, which is just somebody in Canada who's involved in organized crime and probably low level teenagers just trying to make a buck. They deposit the $1,500 e-transfer. Um, and they get a small cut. They get $200 for it, and the rest of it's gone, taken out from an ATM within like a day.
Yeah.
So that happened a lot. And then the bridge loan that I saw get intercepted was about $33,000 this time. So it was a very fairly small one, which was lucky. But a couple of years ago, I dealt with a law firm that was a $480,000 uh, down payment for a multi-million dollar for like $1 million+ home purchase, and the whole thing was intercepted. It was sent to the wrong bank account. They
And the whole
managed to
time it's
recover some, but a fraction of what was gone. What was gone.
And just to really make your guys' hair stand up, those of you who have hair, um, this all happens, like Rob just said, 15 days. These guys are inside your inbox, like potentially one of you right now has hackers inside your inbox, rerouting dollars, charging clients fees, etc., changing lawyers' deposit, and you're going to get tagged in that lawsuit. I mean, you will be sued. Like that law firm would have absolutely sued that mortgage broker. And, it's one thing to have a client suing you. It's kind of another to have a lawyer suing you. Like that really feels less winnable, when it's a lawyer coming after you. They probably know the law better than I do. And they don't have any legal fees. Just the legal fees you're going to incur alone in defending yourself against this kind of thing. So I feel like ProLink's 1-800 number is lighting up right now.
They'll have to buy me some coffee or something, but I do know their policy is good because I review for our clients. I review the policies every year and I answer all the IT related questions because a lot of people don't know how to answer those, and I just know that they have a pretty good policy there. But for the rest of the stuff that like all these breaches, like that big one, the 408, I think the lawsuit's still ongoing. Like it's
Well,
been almost 2 years and it's still going on, and they're like
yeah,
everybody's suing each other right now. Like everybody's
yeah,
trying to blame everybody else and point the finger. And two of the people involved didn't have insurance, so there's like some question about whether or not they could ever even see any funds back from this. But I think in this case the law firm did have insurance, so it'll probably end up coming down to that. But the insurers are all suing people and suing each other as well. So
yeah.
it's just a mess that you don't want to be involved in for sure.
Oh yeah, even if the law firm's insurance company pays out, they can still come after the brokers and file a subsequent suit against them. So, and to your point, this kind of stuff, it can drag on for years and years and years. And I've been there, done that. Back in my late 20s, my wife and I wound up in a real estate related lawsuit, and everybody said slam dunk, you're going to get your deposit back, don't worry about it. And indeed, we won, air quotes, the lawsuit, but we won it 2.5 years later, and it basically cost us 25 grand to get our 20 grand back. So we spent 25 to get our 20 back. So we were still out 25, 25 grand. And it was the stress and the drama of 2+ years. It was not a great experience. So
Bunch of
again,
questions here. Do you want to go into the next topic right away, or
well, depending on where those questions were going to go, I was going to take us down the path of, so aside from the insurance, again, what are some fundamental things that we can actually do? Like the two-factor authentication, still
yeah?
worth doing? I mean, now I hear it's almost not worth doing, but I mean, I would think it is still worth doing to some extent.
It definitely is still mandatory, so everybody should have two-factor authentication on any account that they handle any sensitive information on for sure. It's not bulletproof anymore, and the tooling available to hackers. So phishing links used to be you'd get a link in your email, you click on it, looks like a Microsoft web page, you type in your username and password, and it says it failed to log you in, and then you're like, oh darn, it didn't work, and they just phished your username and password. It wasn't a real Microsoft. So nowadays, the hacking community has gotten so good that there's tools where they can send you a link, and the minute you click on it, that's too late. They don't need your username and password. If you've ever saved your login on your browser, there's something called a session cookie that's stored in there. So we couldn't work if we had to log in every single time we tried to move from web page to web page. Like every time you use Velocity, you then had to log back into your email. And every time you move tabs in email, you had to put your password back in. And it'd be unbearable to try and work that way. So our browsers save a session cookie that keeps us logged in for a set amount of time. So now what they do is they send you a link, you click the link, and that link steals your session token right from your browser. So it just steals a copy of your Microsoft 365 or your Google Workspace or your, I haven't seen them targeting CR like Velocity and like Finmo and stuff like that quite yet, but it's coming. Um, so they just steal a
Does
session
it
token.
grab, like, if somebody like myself has 32 windows open and like 17 of them are things I log into, but they're all open. I'm logged into all of them. I'm logged into, MailChimp, Office 365, Vimeo,
Yep.
Buzzsprout. I'm logged into all these things currently. That session cookie feeds all of those logins in, or
There's a
just,
separate session cookie for each one, but they could conceivably steal all of them if they wanted to. Also, just to make it less scary for you, when you close those tabs, the session cookies don't go away.
I gotta go make
So
a quick call and check my insurance here. Like I'm not going to last to the end of this webinar. Um,
yeah. So
yeah.
that's
So
getting a lot more common, and that also bypasses two-factor authentication. So
so if
because
I
they already
click
have
this link,
authentication. Yeah.
so maybe this is where I give a shout out to BVigilant and to you, Rob. So if I feel like I've accidentally clicked a link, I mean, you're my go-to. So I know I've taken screenshots and forwarded you emails and said, "Hey man, I think I clicked on this thing and I shouldn't have. It was a Canada Post thing or whatever, package delivery." And to your point, you always kind of feel like, "Jesus, somebody watching? Like, how do they know that I?" And it's like, "Oh yeah, I order my granola through Amazon Prime every 2 weeks. I order from Amazon Prime every second day type thing." I did the holdout for a good couple of months there and didn't order anything, but old habits die hard. But yeah, you suddenly get this tracking number thing. Now, you're kind of my go-to. If somebody isn't working with yourself and they feel like they've clicked the link and they may have been compromised, who are you going to call?
Yeah, well, the one that I dealt with yesterday was not a client of ours, so that was completely like last minute panic, and they happened to see one of our or get a referral from somebody who saw one of our webinars, and I jumped in with my team right away. So you do need somebody to respond fast. You can call us if you're stuck, but if you have an IT service provider already, make sure there's somebody that's going to respond quickly. The type of IT where you phone them and they call you back in a few days, like the damage is done at that point. So when there is a breach, it needs to be remediated fast. Like, and if you're unsure, um, ultimately you should have systems in place to make it so that those links don't get to you, um, so that they get intercepted, and that's what we do, and that's what I recommend everybody have. Phishing's still the most common form of hacking by a long shot. So having something in place that intercepts emails in advance and does a whole bunch of analysis on all the links and then gives you either a warning or just flat out strips the link and says, I took a link off of this because I don't think you should be clicking it. If you really need this link, click here and then have your IT guy review it. So
And around that insurance topic as well, you want to make sure that part of your conversation with that is that you may not be the only one who is accessing your inbox. You may have an underwriter, an assistant of some kind who is shadowing you and is in your inbox being you. And there's a few pieces to that puzzle, right? Make sure you're having a conversation with that person. Hey, don't click any links ever, like just red flag the emails where it says click this, anything, like you're welcome to be in my inbox, you're welcome to reply to clients and ongoing situations as me, provide a mailing address, whatever it might be, but do not click any links. Just flag them and I'll look at them, and maybe I'm aware of something that's incoming. I think there's conversations you got to loop a few different people into these conversations. And we should get into some of the good side of the tech advancements around AI, and we can talk about some inbox management and whatnot. But as kind of the segue, and we can do some Q&A here as well. Do you want to share a screen and play that video you made? I thought it was pretty funny.
yeah, yeah. Give me one
Um,
second.
I mean, for those of you who know me well enough, I hope this doesn't fool you. But I think what's going to be interesting is watching this video that Rob whipped up just using. I'll let Rob explain it.
So this was pretty. Let me figure out, make sure that you can hear my audio too.
And how many minutes do you think you invested total in creating this?
I would probably say total less than half an hour. Um,
Yeah. So less than half an hour, not a professional, and this is what we got. And my concern is really 6 months from now, where are we at?
yeah, definitely. Let me see advanced sharing. I'm not sure if you guys can hear the audio associated with this.
No, we can't.
Okay.
You can
All
you can
right.
let it play and we can just run through it. It's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, the audio is 9/10 of the way there. It's not quite perfect, but it's not bad. But the crazy thing is the hand motions and everything else that fit, and the eyes, the eye movement to the, like, there's a lot of things in there, and that's all AI generated. Yeah. Be better if we had the audio, because
Yeah.
you put
I
a whole
able
bunch of words in my mouth.
I definitely did. It doesn't look like it lets me share it on presentation mode though,
All right. Well,
unfortunately.
apologies for the tech issue from the tech guy.
I tested it yesterday in a regular meeting. It worked fine, but I don't have the same options to like share my audio here, so
Yeah.
that's okay. I was able to clone his voice and make him talk about how much he loves trains and how much you should buy.
Toy train sets. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but that took very little time. The good news on the AI stuff is that a lot of the tools that people are using, like HeyGen, um, what was the other one I was using? HeyGen's the biggest one by far, but they require you to record a verification video initially. Um, and they're pretty strict about it has to match the face, it has to match the voice, and it has to like really be you, and you have to verify yourself. So I can't verify Dustin, but I was able to use another AI tool to record a fake video of Dustin verifying himself, and then I uploaded it to the HeyGen thing, and it was like, yeah, sure, good to go. So I used a lower quality cell phone based fake avatar thing, and I gave it a I went on your Vimeo account and I found a plethora of great videos with you standing in front of a whiteboard or a background, and I uploaded a 5-minute clip and I said, I want to make this into an avatar. So it cloned you. And then I copied the script that HeyGen asked me to verify into the AI avatar, and I had it read the script. And then HeyGen also makes you verify with a 4-digit code at the end. And like it's so fast that I was able to like click the button to go and then paste the 4 digits in and hit play, and it was able to in almost in real time. By the time it got to that part of the 30-second script that it had to, or the 10-second script it had to read, it had put the letters in at the end that it had to say as well. So I self-verified you using an AI version of you.
Wow. Wow. Which is not unlike an example that I was tuned in on another webinar where the individual used voice cloning, not himself, to
Hmm.
get through American Express security.
Yep.
It
Yep.
approved him based on its voice recognition software, even though he was actually tapping the keys and making his fake voice say what Amex wanted him to say.
I
So
have a
yeah,
really good story about a guy who got some funds stolen last year, using an AI voice cloner as well. I don't know. I'm going to be conscious of our time here, but
yeah, yeah. Well, I think we're all aware that the pace AI is going at, the fake phone calls are legit. And again, that's a conversation I've had with my parents. They are never ever to give anyone money for any reason unless it's one of us standing in front of them. Like, unless it's the live me in front of them, I'm like, Mom, Dad, I'm all growing up. The kids are all growing up. Their grandkids are all growing up. They're not going to phone you from prison looking for money. All right. That's not going to be a thing. So, and if that's what you believe is happening, you need to drive on down to the prison and show up in person. Like, no e-transferring, because yeah, the voice cloning is terrifying. Now, Rob, I'm going to have to go see if I can set up my own account in HeyGen, or if it's going to say, sorry, you're not the real Dustin, because Dustin already has an account. That'll be fun. We'll take that one offline.
I can delete
Um,
the avatar if you, and then it should open it up for you. But
well, before you do, we should try it, test the theory, see what happens there. That could be really
yep,
interesting.
some of them
Um,
flagged you as a celebrity. There's a couple platforms where I went to try and clone you, and they said they recognized your face as a celebrity, and I could not clone your identity. So
huh,
at least they're
well, there
making
you
an
go.
effort.
Thanks for the ego stroke there, Rob. All right, let's talk about good tools. Let's talk about things like Fixer, right?
Yep.
FYXER or Superhuman. I mean, I have not embraced these yet. Should I? I see the ads every day. I've had a couple other brokers tell me, "Oh my gosh, I'm using it. It's the best thing ever." Is it the best thing ever? Should I use it? And what do I need to worry about? I mean, I don't know about you, Rob. I mean, I'm pretty sure that you're the only person I know that reads end user licensing agreements. I don't think any of your clients read them. We're relying on you. So talk to
Yep.
us.
Fixer and Superhuman are both great. I've demoed both and played with Fixer for a little while. They are AI-based mailbox organization and streamlining tools. So basically, they would like intercept emails as they come in, give you summaries, give you action points on the emails, so that instead of opening an email and having to review it all, it's saying like, this is an email for this file, sending these documents, blah, 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 tells you kind of a rough idea what to do. It also Superhuman is essentially the same thing. Just so you guys know, they're the same tool with different layouts. They'll like assign priorities, so they'll be like, hey, this is like getting bumped to the top. It seems like this is urgent. Like the tone of the person, everything related to it, this is urgent. Or like this is junk. You never have to look at this. I'm gonna put it in this folder you never look at. Um, so they do a very good job of it. Are they safe? I would say those two at least. I would consider them safe. I've reviewed. The first thing I look at whenever I deal with a new company is where the company's based out of. So they're both based out of North America, or a country that has trade and law agreements with North America. So even if they had a great EULA, if they were not based in a country that has like a treaty with Canada and the United States at least, I would not entertain dealing with them. So I saw there's a tool that I've seen a couple people use that's based out of Czechoslovakia, and like just they have a great EULA, but I can't do it. I'm like, there's no teeth to it because if they decide to just violate their EULA, you can't do anything because they don't have agreements to honor our laws and our legal system, or there's no way for you to sue them. There's no repercussions for the company. So
Yeah. Well, let's
um,
face it, who's going to be suing any of these companies? I mean, guys, if it's in even if it's in the US, you need to hire a Canadian lawyer and a US lawyer who are both going to talk to one another at a rate of 250 to 500 per hour about your case before they even start talking to the other side. So,
the
you know,
enforcement for those companies is if they are in North America and Fixer, for example, was to be found farming information without notifying their clients, it would be a class action. At
exactly.
least there would be a situation where a class action would come down and they wouldn't want to deal with that. So um, I think they're both safe right now. I think the biggest risk of all these AI tools is there's probably another 50 tools that do the same thing that I've seen as Fixer and Superhuman. Um, and many of those tools just won't exist in 6 months or maybe 3 months or a
Yeah, which
year.
one is Betamax and which one is VHS, right?
Yeah.
Sorry for the generation after Gen X.
I don't
Which
know
one
what
is
those are.
which one is
No, I'm just kidding.
CDs? Which one is the iPod, right?
Yeah.
Like what and then there's a whole generation going, what's a CD? What like
And the big risk I see there is that like is not just, and this happened fairly recently with another company, is not just that the tool is going to disappear and you're going to lose all the time and energy that you put into using this tool. That's a loss as well. But also sometimes these tools disappear in that they go bankrupt and then they get bought by a private equity firm for the data that they hold. And
That's
that
right.
private equity firm does not necessarily need to honor the EULA. They just push an update and say, like, that's no longer valid. Now we're using all of the data that we collected. So those are the risks that I would see with any of these AI tools. We have a whole bunch of questions sitting in here that
All right. We should get into that. Well, very quickly on that last note, I ordered this AI necklace, this little thing you're going to wear around your neck, and it's voice activated, and it's going to record 30 hours of conversation, which probably would be horrifying to actually see an AI generated summary of everything that I've talked about with every different person in the course of a day. I don't know that I want to see that, but I I'm me. I'm a little too busy and I don't always open packages that arrive right away and deal with things as quickly as I should. So it arrived under brand ABC. So I've got this ABC AI necklace recorder thing. And of course, it wants access to your microphone and all these different things. And by the time I got around to actually setting it up, it was a new company. It was no longer the ABC necklace. It was now the DEF necklace. And I was like, huh. And that sort of just gave me pause because exactly what you were saying, I thought to myself, I wonder how many companies are going to survive. And I wonder if I create an account with a password and I have all my details in there, where's that landing ultimately? Whose hands is that winding up in? Let's go to the Q&A.
um, okay, iPhone password manager is safe. Yeah, it's decent, but it's not the best. You could do better. Somebody else recommended a password generator app. I would use your password manager for that. And Keeper is a really great password manager. Bitwarden is a really great password manager, and 1Password is a really great. So all three of those, I would put like on a level playing field. They're all great. Whichever one you get a better deal on, or whichever one your IT provider or whoever you deal with for technology recommends. Um,
Actually, let's talk about password managers. That was a key point
yep.
I had written down here, and you know there's a great question in here. A recommendation for password managers. I'm currently using Dashlane and I'm struggling to set it up. And just to set you up for an answer, Rob, like I have not actually been great about my own password manager. However, my executive assistant has been great about it and is slowly getting everything migrated into it. But yeah, I
Yeah.
think that you know a lot of us, it's a matter of time blocking a chunk of time to actually learn the tool and use the tool. So is again in under what we were just talking about, companies that may vanish, et cetera, your own services, merge all that into an answer around a password manager for us.
Yeah, so those three that I gave are great. Switching to a password manager is not a snap your fingers and done thing. It's something that I would plan to do over the course of maybe a year, or in Dustin's case, two, 2 to 3
Let's
now.
say 2 years. I'll get there.
So, but properly using a password manager is not only going to greatly improve your security, but also greatly improve your workflow and your efficiency. And I do really mean that, not just marketing speak. Like I only know one password. I've been using my password manager for close to 4 years now. I literally do not know a single password for any website that I have. All I know is one password, and that's my password to my password manager, and that is the way I would like to keep it. And the reason this is so powerful is the password manager can live across all of your systems. It can be on your phone, your laptop, your tablet, everything. Um, when you fill in the box that says like I'm signing up for a new service, put in your password. I never type anything in. I use Keeper. I click the little Keeper icon. I say I want to add a new record, randomly generate the password. It goes boop, puts the random password in there. It's 21 to 25 characters long, uppercase, lowercase, throws it in there, autofills it, and I hit save. That password is memorized in my password manager forever, unless I change it, and then I just update it in the password manager. Every time I go to that website, the password manager logs it in for me. It's like username and password, boop, you're in. Username and password, boop, you're in. The only password I need to remember is the Keeper password to get me into Keeper. And because of that, I can use a long, complex sentence or phrase of things. My password for my password manager is over 30 characters long. I will never forget it, and it will never get brute forced because it is way too strong. Entropy on characters is like current computing, it would take like 50 billion years to crack my
Yeah.
password given the
Yeah.
number of characters.
Yeah. As I was saying earlier, each additional character you add, it's like an exponential lift.
Yep.
And
Yep.
so, on that note, somebody has asked the question, iPhone password manager, is that not safe?
Yeah, the Apple keychain is not terrible. My only issue there would be that you're fully married to the Apple ecosystem, and if you don't, if you ever want to change or go to anything else, it's painful. It also can't live on something other than an Apple. So if you did get a Windows machine or a different tablet that's not an Apple, you can't use it on there. So if you wanted to have multiple systems, so the answer is as long as you're fully married to the Apple ecosystem and you never want to use anything else, it's okay.
Fair enough. And just to do a quick callback too, somebody asked, can we please speak more to a master policy for a brokerage regarding cyber policy? As we've discussed, there is no such policy available. But there's a second part to that question. Would this only cover the brokerage and not sub brokers under the brokerage? So again, you can't get a master policy, but what's really important to recognize for anyone on this call who is incorporated and thus a designated individual. So whether you're the principal broker or not, if you are incorporated, you are technically a DI. And if you have an administrative assistant who's licensed, an underwriter who's licensed, if you have another broker that you've signed up under your license, if there's anyone else in there in particular who holds a sub mortgage broker license under your license, they're technically an employee and you are responsible for their actions. That's a whole nother part of the DI course, but it's worth mentioning. And one other question here was, Rob, did we ever figure out how they got into this other broker's inbox? Did the broker click a link or an email? Does that broker have a clue how they got in, or is it just a guess?
That broker, either them or one of their employees that helps monitor their mailbox, clicked a link at some point. We do know that that is the original point, and I've seen happen several times, they use shared logins for some stuff. So they also occasionally turn off two-factor authentication because it gets annoying trying to prompt things. So that's another reason to use a password manager. You can store the two-factor codes in the password manager and share it to a teammate so they can actually see the rolling codes and they don't have to text you and you don't have to turn off two-factor authentication. So
Here's a
yes, it
bit
came
of
from a link.
fair. Yeah, the links. No more clicking links ever. Here's a bit of a hot button one. Uh, nice to see you, Patrick. Why isn't Philogix using two-step authentication? I mean, that's a pretty interesting question. Rob, can you speak to that
Um,
at all?
How am I supposed to answer that? I don't know. The security industry. It's been like 10 years since we've been saying like you have to have two factors. So if they don't support it at all, then uh, they need to do something. That's pretty terrifying with the amount of data that's in there.
Yeah. I think the valid answer is any company that is not offering a two-factor authentication login is not a company that I necessarily want to have my data stored with. Oh, wait, we're talking about storing hundreds, thousands of clients' data. Yeah, that's dicey. Um, Denise asks, are there any specific security protocols that must be adopted in order to qualify for cybersecurity insurance?
The short answer is no. There, I haven't seen a lot of policies get rejected at all. Your premium's just higher. So like they will insure you if you have the worst security in the world, they will just charge you more for it. So in general, you want to have a password manager, two-factor authentication, random passwords everywhere, and some kind of security software. Ideally, that's monitored. Something beyond what you would just buy at Staples. Something that's more business grade.
Fair enough. Well, here's a good one here. Could you please mention why it's a terrible idea to send applications and credit bureaus by email? I appreciate you asking us to mention that. In a macro way, we've kind of explained it, right? Like these hackers are
Yeah.
going to quietly get into your inbox. They're going to quietly see all the documents and be able to grab them all as they flow in and out of your inbox. So, yeah, guys, it's not 2016 anymore. No, we should not be emailing complete T1s and everything else back and forth. There should be a secure upload link. But wait, Rob, I said to my clients, never
Uh,
click a link. How do
just
I how
making
do how
sure.
do I navigate this? How do I
Yeah.
navigate this? I mean, I feel like email's safe. I've been using it forever. It's not safe. But then you're
It's
also
not a
telling
s-
me clicking links isn't safe. So this seems challenging.
it's not a safe place to store things. Some lenders, especially like private lenders and MIC lenders, only accept things through email still, so you don't really have a choice. But you shouldn't leave it there because what we're seeing is when the accounts do get breached, the first thing they do is make a copy of all of the data for themselves so that they can sift through it later. So if you do send that credit bureau through email because that's the only option you have, you should download that chain of emails and put it into whatever document storage platform you're using, store it there safely, and then delete it from the email and delete it from your sent items, and not still store it in there. And in regards to links, I think we talked earlier for your parents, I mean, it makes sense, but for everybody else, I don't tell people not to click links. I tell people to make sure that you have security on your email that will intercept malicious looking or suspicious looking links and at least warn you about it, if not completely block it.
And there's a whole lot of questions around, additional security layers. What about a VPN? Does a VPN help me at all? I was just traveling in Toronto for a couple days. Um, should I have had a
Yep.
VPN when I'm sitting in the hotel room?
You can use a VPN when you're in an untrusted location. It's less important nowadays because any website that has like SSL encryption and like has the HTTPS at the start, that's a secure connection between you and them anyway. But if you're in a coffee shop, or more notably, if you're traveling somewhere in the world that has not a great government reputation for spying on its citizens, so China, I'm looking at you. If you're trying to travel into China, bring a burner phone, bring a burner laptop, and use a VPN. Although I think you might get arrested if you use a VPN in China now, so don't take that advice. Make sure you check with like whoever does your travel stuff. But
Yeah.
yes, anywhere else in the world, I would take a VPN with you. Here in Canada, and a year ago, I would have said the United States too, but now I'm not so sure. But yes, you could use a VPN.
Well, so rather than a VPN, I just bought a whole second laptop and it's
Yeah.
empty. It's everything I have to log in remotely. Nothing is stored on that device. And I thought at least that's some layer of protection. If I lose the laptop or if it gets stolen while I'm out on the road, there's nothing in the device machine itself. But yeah, I got to get my one password implemented across that. Any other tips to help keep our PC, MacBooks, and data safe? Anything else you'd layer on top?
Contact somebody like us. Contact a security company. Security is an ever evolving, like rapidly changing thing. So you need somebody to stay on top of all of it for you. It's unreasonable to expect that you're going to be a broker and also stay on the leading edge of security yourself. So that's what I would say. And make sure that you buy business quality equipment and don't buy like your laptop from Best Buy on the like clearance shelf and stuff because there's more to it than what they say. And if you don't have a business grade laptop, your hard drive's probably not encrypted at all, which means it could just be stolen, and somebody could just take the drive out of it and see all your data.
Fair enough. As far as clearing cookies, something like Cleaner to clear session cookies, does that do the trick?
I wouldn't install CCleaner because it's loaded with adware now as well. It comes with a bunch of junk attached to it, and you don't need a third-party tool. Every browser has a button to do that built in. So use the built-in features, and I wouldn't trust giving another company access to my computer just to clear cookies, which is for security reasons. Seems like a loop there. And
Yeah.
yes, an authenticator app on your phone is fine and secure. I use Authy myself sometimes. I still haven't moved all my two-factor codes off into Keeper, but for the most part, you should use your password manager.
Yeah, and I think as you've said, I mean, LastPass, 1Password, Keeper, Google, Apple's iPhone, like any of these bigger entities,
Well, don't
Norton.
use the don't use the Google one that's built into the web browser because that's not really a password manager. That stores it on your computer in like a text file, and you can grab that one off of that. So
Oh,
I
pardon
would
me. Thank you for clarifying that.
and LastPass is probably okay, but they have been breached 3 times now and lied about it 3 times. So I just have issues with the company that says they haven't been breached until it's put in front of them and proven, and then it happens again, and then it happens again, and each time they run the same playbook of saying it didn't happen, we didn't get hacked. And then somebody says, no, like I literally have a list of your employees and it's all right here and your HR info and everything, like you did. And they're like, ah, shoot. And then the same thing happens again, and they lie again and say that they didn't get hacked again.
Well, strictly speaking, I don't think that they would agree with your characterization that they were lying, because I believe when it comes to security breaches, there is a legal loophole around some language that the company can use with a lawyer, and when they engage a law firm in a certain manner, technically that's the only notification they need to actually give. It's kind of a crazy situation.
Yeah.
And that laundry list I just ran through is actually a laundry list of questions. So thanks for clarifying. Google Password Manager on your device, not so great. And okay, LastPass or not so much an option then. Or no, Keeper. That was the one you were saying.
Keeper, Bitwarden, or 1Password are the three best ones, and they're super cheap, so just pick one.
There we go. 1Password, Keeper, or Bitwarden.
Bitwarden, yeah.
There we go. Can cyber criminals steal your password manager main password? How do you stop that from happening? If it's written on a sticky note next to your monitor, yes, they can. But beyond that, Rob, how is someone
The
going to steal my 30-character password?
the idea is that if you're using a password manager and you only have to remember one password, that you can have a nice long complex password that somebody's not going to be able to steal or guess, and you're not going to write it down anywhere or store it on your desktop. It's going to be only in your head. If you only ever had to remember one password, I would think most people would be capable of remembering one really good password. So
Yeah.
that's and also they're security companies, so they do have extra layers. There's going to be two-factor authentication required. They're also going to alert you if somebody tries to log in from another country, or there's like something called an impossible travel or an anomalous login. So there's a lot of additional layers. This is what they do, and they are going to flag things and make it a lot harder to get into the account than a standard login. And RoboForm's also fine. I don't particularly like the way its UI looks. I think it's kind of dated, but it works. So
So I guess we are a little bit into overtime here. We're a little bit out of time. The last question I guess I'd have is, so Rob, I've got this 30-character unbreakable password. I get hit by a bus, and you know, the will outlines a whole bunch of different things, different steps that need to be taken. And I mean, we all used to talk about, so Gen X mainly talks about having to clean out their parents' basement of, kids' toys and just stuff that our parents have collected over years and years and years. Moving forward into the next generation, the generation after that, it's going to be the digital cleanup that is going to be a fiasco. And maybe this is the topic of another conversation, another session. But I'm thinking to myself, like, yeah, geez, if I'm hit by a bus and I'm gone, how do my kids actually access all this stuff? I mean, I guess I could get a safety deposit box and I could put it in there and they could access through there, but there's going to be a lot to deal with.
Yep. We've dealt with people, I mean, you know intimately that we've dealt with situations like that, and having a trusted technology partner that has a has a plan in place beforehand. So one thing we do with some of our clients is that we say, like, you know, if something happens to you, who am I allowed to give access to? And having that succession plan in place, whether you want to call it succession or even just temporary, like just if you're incapacitated, if you've got a member of your team that you trust intimately, um, yeah, then having something in place. And then for your password manager, you can use authenticator keys, which are like these little, like, this is your two-factor authentication. It's a little fingerprint scanner. Doesn't actually scan a fingerprint. It's heat sensitive, but in this case, you can get something like this and have your son or somebody else that you trust register a fingerprint on one of these, or register their biometrics on one of these, and just give them one, or put it in a safe deposit box at a bank and something, and say, like, worst case scenario, somebody can grab my secondary key from the bank of whatever bank I deal with.
All right, I made another note there. The last one we're going to take. Can you give us an example of a really good password for a password keeper? And I mean, go for it. I've got one. You go ahead too.
Yeah. My dog's name is, and then a name of a dog that's obscure or whatever, and punctuation afterwards, a period, an exclamation point, and and he won't stop barking with an exclamation point at the end. Something like that, a passphrase, long and complex, and nobody's going to guess the entire cadence of the sentence word for word.
And it doesn't actually need to be loaded with special characters
No,
either. Like
no.
it doesn't. It's just the pure length that gets to it. Um, I was going to say, I've got a list of questions right here in front of me. Let's talk about a time you got burned by ignoring your own process or instinct on June 18th, 2025! Exclamation point. There's a great password. And it's random. It's actually just on a sheet of paper next to me. But how fitting is that?
Then you
Don't
got to
ignore
shred the
your
paper.
process. Don't ignore your instincts because you don't want to be listing a time you got burned, guys.
Yep.
There it is. That was actually
So
very random, but that's a good note to end on. Don't ignore process. Don't ignore instincts. Get your insurance in place. Get your one password in place. This is serious stuff. And Rob, it sounds like you've got somebody yesterday who is probably facing somewhere, between five, 10, $15,000 plus in checks that are going to just have to be written because what else are you going to do? You going to fight with some clients over $1,500? No, you're going to write the check and make it right because you're the jackass that got hacked and you're not a jackass at all, right? But that's how I would feel about myself. I shouldn't have said that. But I would feel like a fool for getting hacked and I would be writing those checks. And it's painful, utterly painful to write those checks, no matter what level you're at in life. It is painful. Rob, thank you so much. And we did go into overtime, but I think this has been a phenomenally
didn't lose
useful
many
session.
attendees. So obviously we had we only lost about 8 or 10 attendees going overtime. So
There
thanks
we go.
everybody for
Yeah.
coming. Rob
Appreciate
at
it. And
BVigilant.ca if you have
yes.
questions.
And thank you to CMBA-BC for putting this together and giving us the opportunity to have this conversation with you guys. Thank you to each and every one of you for tuning in. And Carla, Farzana, and Shamina, great to see you as always as well. Thank you so much.
Thanks everyone.
Cheers.